What if the films we barely remember were the ones that saw the future more clearly than the blockbusters we celebrate? The 80s hid a treasure chest of science stories that quietly predicted the world we now live in. Screens that shape our choices, digital identities, climate worries, and automation creeping into every corner of life. These forgotten movies whispered warnings while everyone else was watching explosions, and one of them might feel a little too familiar once we get there. Let's dive in. Number 14. The Brother from Another Planet, 1984. Most sci-fi stories show the future through machines. This one did it through silence. The Brother from Another Planet begins with a quiet outsider who lands in New York looking human but unable to speak. He blends in, but not easily. What makes this film so ahead of its time isn't the alien idea. It's how it predicted modern tracking, surveillance pressure, and digital profiling long before those became daily words. The main character can fix machines just by touching them, which feels fun at first, but it soon becomes a comment on how technology scans us, sorts us, and decides who we are before we say a word. Every room he enters reads him like data. Every system he interacts with mirrors today's idea of being identified without consent. Even the quiet way people judge him reflects patterns we now see in automated decisions and face recognition systems. The film also hints at a future where society watches strangers more than it welcomes them. The tension of being studied, followed, or categorized is everywhere in the story. And while the plot looks like fantasy on the surface, its message is chillingly simple. Being different in a digital world means being tracked, observed, and sometimes misunderstood. Looking back, The Brother from Another Planet wasn't predicting flying cars. It was predicting the feeling of being scanned every moment of the day. And if that isn't the future, what is? Number 13. Dead End Drive-In, 1986. It starts like a simple night out. A couple drives into a neon-soaked movie lot, grabs snacks, and settles in. But then the gates lock, the lights flicker, and the two discover the entire place is actually a holding zone designed to keep young people distracted, while the world outside shifts in ways they're not supposed to see. Sounds wild, right? It's actually frighteningly close to the digital distractions we scroll through every day. Dead End Drive-In predicted something big without saying it directly. A future where entertainment becomes a kind of soft barrier. Not a fence made of metal, but a world built from shows, feeds, and empty thrills that keep people inside without ever forcing them. The characters stay because the distractions are easy, the noise is constant, the comfort feels safe. And that's the point. The film's idea of authorities using curated fun to keep society passive hits harder now than ever. Instead of watching a movie at a drive-in, we watch glowing screens in our hands. Instead of the gates getting locked, the endless scroll keeps us glued to one spot. The story slowly becomes a warning about losing motivation, identity, or purpose, when everything you need feels like it can be delivered right where you sit. Dead End Drive-In isn't just a forgotten 80s oddity. It's a mirror showing how entertainment can become a soft trap when we stop paying attention. It asks a question the world still struggles with. Are we choosing our distractions, or are they choosing us? Number 12. Slipstream, 1989. Slipstream takes place in a world reshaped by relentless winds and shifting weather patterns. Entire cities have faded into dust. The land has been carved into strange shapes, and the remaining population survives by following a massive wind current, known simply as the slipstream. At first, it feels like a wandering adventure across unusual terrain, but beneath the wide skies and drifting communities lies one of the most quietly accurate predictions of the 80s, a future defined by climate pressure and constant movement. People in this story travel not for excitement, but because staying still is no longer possible. Settlements vanish, resources move, and towns form wherever people can briefly rest. The world pushes humanity forward whether they want it or not. The film even shows enforcement teams using sleek flying craft to navigate dangerous regions, a subtle preview of modern aerial surveillance and remote guidance systems. Slipstream also explored the emotional impact of a changing planet long before that conversation became common. Characters carry a kind of weather-shaped tiredness. They are always searching, always adjusting, always wondering where they truly belong. Identity becomes flexible, shifting like the winds they follow. When it first released, audiences saw a dusty adventure. Today, it feels like a forecast. Slipstream didn't predict grand destruction. It predicted the feeling of a future where nature quietly guides every choice, and where people must keep moving just to survive. Number 11. The Hidden, 1987. The Hidden begins as a fast-paced chase through a city. But something feels off immediately. People who were once calm suddenly act wildly, and no one understands why. The cause is a strange entity that jumps from person to person, bringing out amplified behavior and making its hosts crave constant thrills and attention. Underneath the sci-fi setup is a surprisingly sharp prediction about modern influence, rapid mood swings shaped by media, and identity shifting in a world that rewards extremes. Every time the entity switches hosts, the person changes instantly. New desires, new impulses, new actions. It's a wild 80s visual that now feels like a metaphor for the way trends shape people in real time. The idea that someone can be influenced, transformed, or pushed into new behavior just by the things they interact with sounds familiar in an age of online challenges, fast content, and quick emotional highs. The Hidden also touches on the loss of stable identity. One moment a character is quiet, the next they're someone completely different. It predicted the way modern culture pressures people to constantly reinvent themselves to stay visible or relevant. The story plays like a thriller, but the message underneath is far more thoughtful. For a film that looks like pure, pulpy fun on the surface, The Hidden saw something subtle about the future. It understood that identity could be reshaped, not by machines taking control, but by the endless pull of fast attention and shifting influence. A warning wrapped inside action. Number 10. Space Camp, 1986. Space Camp begins as a cheerful visit to a training center for a group of young students. Everything seems simple until a sudden chain of events sends them into orbit for real. What should have been a playful simulation becomes a mission where they must rely on guidance systems, voice-controlled tools, and automated support. Back in the 80s, this felt like pure fantasy. Today, it reads like an early blueprint for the digital assistants we use every day. The young characters learn to speak to machines, give clear verbal commands, and trust systems to respond with precision. At the time, audiences viewed this as amusing and highly futuristic. Now it feels completely normal. We talk to devices that answer questions, play music, schedule tasks, and give directions. Space Camp even explored what happens when automated systems act faster than humans can react, echoing modern tools that predict needs and correct choices almost instantly. The film's most interesting idea is its tug-of-war between trust and instinct. The students must decide when to follow the machine's guidance and when to rely on their own judgment. That balance perfectly reflects modern life, where every update, app, and device promises convenience at the cost of a little more independence. Number 9. Starman, 1984. At first glance, Starman looks like a gentle road trip with a strange visitor, but beneath the soft music and peaceful tone lies one of the most quietly prophetic sci-fi insights of the 80s. This film predicted a future where the debate around identity, human rights, and non-human intelligence becomes a real conversation. And it did all of that through kindness instead of chaos. The story follows a mysterious traveler who arrives on Earth by taking the form of a woman's late partner. That alone touches on something familiar today. The copying of faces, the blending of appearance and memory, the idea of technology or beings who can mirror us perfectly. Starman imagined emotional duplication long before digital simulations or advanced facial mapping became part of our world. But the deeper prediction is about how systems react to anything they cannot categorize. Throughout the movie, different agencies try to track the visitor, not because he is dangerous, but because he is different. The film foresaw a future where biometric identification, constant monitoring, and advanced tracking would become routine. It also predicted the debate about whether a being that looks human, learns like a human, and expresses feeling deserves the same respect as one. Starman's greatest insight is that intelligence does not need to be loud to be powerful. It suggested a future where empathy might matter as much as logic, and where the most advanced minds may not come from devices, but from beings who remind us how to feel. A quiet, beautiful prophecy. Number 8. Turkey Shoot, 1982. Turkey Shoot does not ease you into its world. It throws you straight into a loud, exaggerated future, packed with bright colors, strict rules, and a population kept calm through non-stop entertainment. What looks wild on the surface ends up predicting something very real about modern culture: the rise of spectacle as a tool to keep people distracted. In the film, people are placed inside a controlled zone where they become a living show. They are watched, judged, and guided by those in charge. The more exciting the show becomes, the more attention it collects. And the more attention it collects, the easier it is for the system to steer people without them realizing it. This was long before reality competitions ruled screens or social platforms overflowed with attention-chasing challenges. Turkey Shoot understood the feeling of performing for an unseen audience decades before it became part of everyday life. It predicted how constant entertainment could influence choices, shape routines, and even replace real thought if people let it. The bold world of the film mirrors today's culture, where attention acts like a kind of currency and speed becomes a hook that keeps viewers locked in place. Number 7. The Stuff, 1985. The Stuff begins with a mysterious white treat bubbling out of the ground and becoming the newest snack craze in America. People try it once and suddenly crave more. Stores sell out. Ads take over the airwaves. Everyone wants it. On the surface, it's a quirky concept. But what it predicted about consumer habits, trends, and addictive product culture is startlingly accurate. The movie shows a world where people become loyal to a brand not because it's good for them, but because it feels easy, fun, and everywhere. The way characters talk about the stuff mirrors how people today react to fast-moving trends, viral products, and snacks that promise joy without effort. The film exaggerated the idea, but it understood something real. When a product becomes a sensation, people stop asking questions. The Stuff also predicted the rise of marketing that shapes identity. In the story, companies use catchy commercials, smiling faces, and bright colors to turn an unknown substance into the most important item on every shelf. That kind of influence existed in the 80s, but it exploded in the digital age, where a single video can change national shopping habits overnight. The movie's deeper message is about trust. How easily we believe a product is harmless just because it looks friendly or comes in a shiny package. The Stuff showed how modern culture might begin to treat food, fashion, and trends like personal comfort items rather than choices requiring thought. It was playful, messy, and a little strange, but underneath, it was one of the sharpest predictions about how we consume. Number 6. Outland, 1981. Outland is set on a lonely mining base far from Earth, surrounded by dark skies, heavy machinery, and workers pushed to their limits. It looks like a space thriller at first glance, but underneath the dusty corridors is one of the earliest predictions of a future where private companies, not governments, control distant communities. Today, as corporations discuss exploring other worlds, Outland feels strikingly ahead of its time. The workers live under strict schedules and are monitored by advanced systems that track nearly everything they do. They are expected to stay productive, steady, and disciplined, even when the environment becomes overwhelming. As the story unfolds, real questions arise about fairness, responsibility, and support. Instead of easing conditions, the leadership tightens expectations, treating people like perfect tools rather than individuals with limits. This prediction has become surprisingly accurate. Many modern workplaces rely on digital tracking, automated oversight, and efficiency targets that mirror the world Outland imagined long before it happened. The film also captured the emotional toll of this pressure, the stress, the loneliness, the quiet feeling of being watched rather than helped. Outland delivers its message gently. It isn't loud or dramatic. It's thoughtful, almost calm. It predicted a future where progress depends on people working far from home, often under systems that value output more than well-being. It remains a sharp look at what happens when ambition grows faster than empathy. Number 5. The Terminator, 1984. Everyone remembers The Terminator as an action classic, but very few remember how boldly it predicted the digital world we now live in. Strip away the chases and the bright 80s neon, and you'll find a story built on one prediction: machines learning faster than their makers, and systems becoming too complex for anyone to fully control. Instead of focusing on spectacle, let's focus on the deeper warning. The story introduced the idea of automated thinking, learning systems, and programs that make decisions without waiting for human input. In the 80s, that sounded like wild imagination. Today, it's the foundation of everyday life. We trust automated tools to organize our schedules, improve our photos, support navigation, and sort through information faster than any human could. The film also predicted something subtle that people didn't notice at the time: that data would become a tool used to predict human behavior. Throughout the story, systems constantly search for patterns, track movement, and attempt to anticipate choices. This foresaw the rise of algorithms, behavior modeling, and predictive analysis that guide the world now. The idea that a system can guess what we want before we say it is no longer fiction. Another powerful insight is the film's message about accountability. When a system becomes too advanced, who is responsible for its decisions? The creators? The users? Or no one at all? That question sits quietly beneath the action, but becomes louder every year as technology grows more independent. The Terminator didn't just predict advanced thinking systems. It predicted the feeling of humans trying to keep up with tools that operate faster than we can understand. Number 4. Robot Jox, 1989. Robot Jox looks like a colorful sci-fi showdown filled with giant machines battling in open arenas. But behind the lights and spectacle lies a surprisingly sharp prediction of future problem-solving. The film imagined a world where nations stop risking lives in large-scale conflict and instead settle major disputes through controlled matches between piloted machines. In the 80s, that sounded playful. Today it sounds eerily familiar. Although the machines in the story are dramatic and oversized, the core idea was far ahead of its time. The notion that advanced technology could take the place of direct human involvement echoes in the way modern societies use remote-controlled equipment, simulation-based decision-making, and digital strategies to reduce real-world risk. Robot Jox imagined a future where distance becomes safety, and where giant mechanical tools turn into symbolic representatives. The film also captured the pressure placed on individuals inside powerful systems. The pilots in the story face intense expectations from the world around them, treated almost like athletes carrying the pride of entire nations. That idea mirrors modern trends, where individuals become icons due to the advanced tools they operate, whether they work in laboratories, studios, or digital arenas. Most people dismissed Robot Jox as a niche sci-fi adventure, but its predictions landed quietly in reality. The idea that technology becomes the face of leadership, influence, and negotiation is now part of everyday global strategy. Robot Jox wasn't warning about machines. It was warning about the weight placed on the people behind them. Number 3. Android, 1982. Android is one of those small, overlooked gems that quietly predicted the emotional side of artificial intelligence long before it became a global discussion. The film takes place on a lonely research station where a young android named Max 404 spends his days performing tasks, watching old movies, and quietly dreaming of becoming human. It's a simple setup with a surprisingly deep message. The future won't just be about machines thinking, it will be about machines feeling. What makes the film ahead of its time is the way Max studies people. He copies their gestures, listens to their conversations, and tries to understand why humans make choices that are messy, emotional, and sometimes completely illogical. Instead of treating intelligence as a set of commands, Android treats it as longing. Max wants connection, friendship, and meaning, the same things humans want. The film also explores the fear of creators when their creations begin to grow beyond expectations. Max's human mentor tries to control him, not because Max is dangerous, but because he is changing. That mirrors today's concerns about advanced systems learning faster than expected and forming goals we never predicted. Android didn't rely on spectacle, it relied on heart. It predicted a future where artificial minds might feel lonely, curious, or unsure of their place. A future where the question isn't just how smart machines can become, but how human they might someday feel. Number 2. Brain Damage, 1988. Brain Damage may look like a quirky horror sci-fi blend, but its core prediction is one of the sharpest of the decade. It foresaw the rise of stimulation-based addiction created by modern entertainment, instant gratification, and emotional highs provided by glowing screens. The movie exaggerates the idea through a strange creature offering bursts of euphoria, but the metaphor is unmistakable. A future where people chase artificial joy instead of real connection. The main character becomes reliant on this outside source to feel energized, calm, or inspired. That dependency reflects today's culture of constant scrolling, never-ending alerts, and the steady pull of digital platforms built to keep attention locked in place. The movie's viewpoint was extreme, but the prediction was spot on. People now face genuine difficulty stepping away from the stimulation loop because it feels easy, accessible, and rewarding. Brain Damage also predicted the emotional toll of overstimulation, the exhaustion, the restlessness, the feeling of losing time without noticing. These moments in the film mirror modern habits that leave people overwhelmed by rapid content, fast-paced visuals, and constant notifications. The film even hinted at how corporations and creators might design experiences that feed on human attention rather than nourish it. While the movie's style is exaggerated, the message underneath is surprisingly calm and wise. Be careful when something feels too good too quickly. It might be reshaping you more than you realize. Brain damage wasn't predicting a creature. It was predicting the age of distraction. Number 1. Miracle Mile, 1988. Miracle Mile begins with a missed phone call, a simple mistake. But that one moment sends its main character into a city buzzing with confusion, rumors, and panic. People hear something they don't fully understand. They pass it on. Fear grows. Misinformation spreads. Sound familiar? Miracle Mile is one of the most accurate early predictions of real-time panic driven by fast communication. In the story, a single piece of unclear information turns a quiet evening into a chaotic race. People react instantly, not because they confirm anything, but because the world now moves faster than logic. That idea, once pure fiction, mirrors today's environment where messages spread globally in seconds, and small errors can lead to massive reactions. Miracle Mile predicted something deeper than communication speed. It predicted the emotional side of instant information, the way confusion can spread through an entire city, the way fear grows when messages outrun truth, the way people respond to urgency even when they don't fully understand the situation. The film also captured the overwhelming pressure of deciding who to trust. Friends, strangers, authorities, voices on the line, all trying to figure out what is real before time runs out. This mirrors modern challenges where people must separate fact from fiction while the clock feels like it's ticking. Miracle Mile didn't imagine a future filled with gadgets or flying cars. It imagined a future shaped by fast messages, quick reactions, and the fragile nature of trust. And it was right. So there you have it. 14 forgotten sci-fi films that didn't just imagine tomorrow, they quietly mapped out the world we're living in right now. If one of these surprises you, tell me which one. And if you want more deep dives like this, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and share the video. The future isn't waiting. It's already here.